Next up here we have a high kill game that somebody sent in, and this one is a pretty decent example of why high kill games can be difficult to learn from, because a lot of it is about punishing enemies for not playing. Let's have a look in this game. Drop in capital. Now here I turned the music down a little bit because we're looking at 2x, but after killing the team inside, this player, skipped through this VOD earlier, heard a sound over on the left side at the door. So that's something to keep in mind as they're moving out of this building. You see them ADSing across the street to try and figure out where these enemies are, and that's important to keep in mind. Coming up to this next fight, right? So here they're ADSing because they heard somebody on the left side somewhere, and they're checking if they're pushing this this building. So he's pre-aiming to check if there's people across here, which is fine. Then if you don't see them and you know that there's still people around, you do want to scout them first before you run out into this open space. This is very dangerous now. Get shot left, or if they took control of the top of the train. So before running out here, the first thing I would do is in train station is take the roof, so that you just have visibility of this area without putting yourself on the low ground. And so he goes for the roof on this building, which is, you know, this still gives you a decent scouting position. It's a shame you instantly drop off. This still gives you a decent scouting position, but if they had already been up here, or if they had already been pushing on this side, then you're going to get punished. Don't want to be moving out like that if you don't yet know where they are. Yo, Rog, thanks for the follow as well. What the hell? What's happening? I appreciate that. Right, and then here, this is not too bad, because the enemy that you're shooting at over here has no cover, right? He's extremely punishable. You can get shots in for free, but you know, when you decide to shoot, you basically don't have cover either. So there's not much of an advantage. The reason I don't like these shots is because they're in a fight, they're engaged, they're distracted. You've only seen one of them. You've got the opportunity right now to decide whether you want to go up on high ground here and try to punish the people that are healing without cover. In an easier position where your loadout's a little bit stronger, right? Man and Peacekeeper, or whether you want to scout, figure out where the other enemies are, or maybe you want to flank around wide. You can even push up straight and use cover here, but anything to get a little bit more information now that you have the time and get into a more favorable position where you can really punish this. Because somebody that's out in the open like this with no cover, only doing 43 damage to them is a little bit of a waste of time. Right. And then right here, I don't like this push for the exact reason that I mentioned, for lack of information. You knew that at least two teams were fighting each other here, which means there's a potential of 6 enemies right now that you were not aware of. You've seen one of them, so that leaves 5 enemies that you're not aware of. They're running straight out in the open here, not taking high ground, not scouting. This is risky as fuck. And here you can see why. The moment you climb up, there's 2 enemies right here. It means you're starting a fight with, well, you basically have common armor because your armor is damaged. You're starting a fight 1v2, like overexposed against enemies, and you don't have like a down to return to. You don't have any mobility because your lifeline, not ideal. Luckily, one of them ignores you. This reset I like, by the way. It was a little bit of a fuck up to push in and end up in, in front of 2 enemies, but it happens to all of us. One of the most important things is then realizing that you might not be able to win that, and that you're going to have to back off. But if you just instantly turn around and run away, they're both just going to shoot you in the butt and you're going to die. So what this guy does is good, is he shoots first, makes them back off. In this case, even gets a knock because one of them leaves and then backs off to him. That's the right order to do things, so this is good. He resets all the way, that's nice, his teammates are here. This is a waste. Against this Bangalore is distracted, she's not even looking at you right now, right? So there's no need for you to rush your shots. You can literally stand still and not even move your mouse. Wait for her to walk into your crosshair and it's just a little bit of a waste. Don't panic. Chill out with your shots. It's a free kill. Alright, now you don't have to heal because you had armor swap, so you can go back in. Same thing as before. If you just quickly gone above for some high ground here or taking a wider flanking peek, then you have less of a risk of running into multiple enemies. That is a bit of an unnecessary risk. Again, you're on low ground, out in the open, without scouting. Not sure if it's me, but your mic is cutting off sometimes. That's probably not you, that's probably my OBS because I changed the... That should help. No, just ever so slightly. Yeah, it's the voice activation. No, you're quite right. It is. I need to refigure that stuff out, but that's okay. All right, so on low ground, very little scouting. Again, these shots I don't like. The opponent is very punishable, this opponent, because they're out in the open. So that's the exact same as before. So far, so good. But again, you're in a position where you have no cover or high ground, and you're exposing yourself to 1, 2, 3 enemies at least here, and you don't know where the others potentially are. So this is just unnecessary risk. They don't see you, they're not focused on you, they don't even have like very powerful positions, they just have some mild high ground. You have a pretty easy opportunity to take high ground above them on the left here, or to fight somebody isolated on the right. The right side's a bit riskier, I wouldn't go for it, but I definitely wouldn't take the fight from here. Alright, and this I like. This is not the best spot to heal, which is why I quite liked on the previous heal that he slid all the way down. They ended up armor swapping, not healing, but he went all the way down to his teammates for safety. Now his teammates are up here, so this is a little bit safer. He drops his heal drone so that he can pop a battery, and then drops his ultimate, because whenever you're in a fight or you have to heal, you know you're going to spend some time standing still here anyway, so it's nice to drop your ultimate so that you don't have to wait or slow down your rotations. Besides, the gunshots should already have let anybody in the area know that you're here, so then it's no longer an extra risk dropping a package that might attract people. So that's good. Okay, so this time he's actually taking a wide flank. This I like way more. You're gonna get way more visibility. You're way less likely to be punished here, so that's good. And your teammates are actually following you this time, looking at the minimap, so that's nice. They're a bit slow, but that's alright. Right, no cover usage there, so that guy went down really easily. Luckily he was already damaged and he wasn't particularly good, but we do see you overexposing yourself a lot. Like, you're not using cover here, you have some to your right, you're not using cover against that guy. You didn't use cover against like the first people you shot underneath the train track. So far a lot of overexposing yourself, especially to more than one enemy, which is something you very, very much want to avoid this meta. Exposing yourself to more than one enemy will almost always get you killed right now. And in fact, it's one of the few things that you can see if you watch really good streamers or YouTubers right now, or pro players. It's one of the few things that they all do, is the moment that they see more than one enemy, they change their position. Right, waiting till you hear the rest, that is good. That's you a free kill. Not much to say about that. Right, there is potentially still another team that was fighting over on this side, so I do want to see you looking at that a little bit more, but other than that, this is alright. Let's go up ahead, see what happens. Alright, so you're already in the new zone now. So now I want to see some scouting once again. You're not sure about the situation around you now. You can take some high ground for free. I want to see you chill on high ground for at least like 5 seconds and get a quick overview of your surroundings, right? So you take high ground naturally, that's good. You do check the building across, so you see that there's people there, but you still haven't given yourself even 5 seconds in this entire game to look around and assess your surroundings. Even when you keep defaulting to high ground, that's a very, very good habit. You're not actually using it. Not to scout and not for fights. So definitely want to add that little like extra 5 seconds just to make sure you've got your awareness down and that your decisions actually make sense. I like that you waited for your teammates to be on the building before you pushed up. Teammates are quite slow. And here once again, this fight, this is just a case of completely overexposing yourself. You see first of all, you know that your enemies are not with you yet, right? So this is already a somewhat risky situation where you have to play a little bit more careful. You do not want to be exposed to more than one enemy here, and you're standing way too far forward, exposing yourself to 2 or 3 at a time. And luckily your teammate shows up right in time and you decide to start your heal, but had your teammate not already been on the zipline and coming over, you would have now been dead. So there's way too many people to be exposed to if they only have you to shoot at. Right, nice shots there. Okay, the main reason you beat this team, by the way, is because this team was indecisive. Like literally the 3 of them are holding a roof, you decide to push it alone and they're too scared to push you. And that's why you won this fight. But other than that, you did take a lot of risks here that were really not necessary for the position that you had. Because even such a small high ground like that, like you control the peak. Alright, fight's over, you're on high ground, so I want to see you scout around once again. You know that the next zone is in this direction. That's an eraser. You know that the next zone is in this direction based on the minimap that we just saw. So the two things I want to see you looking at is this area where people might be rotating towards the new zone and towards the right side of Capital City. And the reason is that you've cleared pretty much everything in your back. The train track you've cleared, this building you've cleared, you came from the other building. So it's pretty unlikely that people are coming from your butt right now unless they're coming from the sorting factory choke. I didn't see the last zone, so I don't know if that was in. So they're far more likely to be on your right, up ahead towards the new zone. So that's where I'd want to check, because I don't want to run into those people if I didn't see them coming, you know? If they're holding that corner house, for example, that's very popular, I wouldn't want to run past that without knowing there's people there. And this is what I would avoid. Once again, you haven't scouted, so you're not sure about anything in your surrounding area, right? You don't know if there's people in this building, you don't know if there's people gatekeeping back there, you don't know if there's people anywhere around here, and you're running out across low ground. If you're not sure, stick to the rocks, stick to the high ground where you have cover and safety. And if you are sure, then you can at least take the liberty of just pathing yourself out in the open like this. Right, and this of course I like as well. If you're shooting for a 20 kill game and you have a good enough start that you know you can make it, he's on 40 kills. There's 2 enemy teams left, so potential of 6 kills. Don't forget to ask your teammates if you can get the kills, because it's a lot more difficult if you have to raise your teammates for them. So that's a good habit to get into. And prepare yourself for that one teammate you're bound to get into that ignores it and tries to take all the kills anyway. It happens to all of us. Right, so this is exactly what I was kind of worried about. We're seeing shots coming from over here, like charge rifle shots, and I can't quite tell if they're coming from all the way over at that res beacon or from on top of this building. We'll see in a second. But either way, this is a position that I don't really want to be in, and the path you just took is a position I don't really want to be when there's somebody with a charge rifle potentially camping up here, right? Or camping that res beacon on the other edge of the zone. They end up shooting only at your teammates and not at you, so that's kind of lucky. But once again, that's not you playing it properly, that's the enemy playing it improperly. High ground, so I want to see you scout. This is good. This is what I want to see. Alright, now we find their position. This is way better. Now at this point, with the wingman here, I don't mind that you go for a shot. You're not really going to get any value out of this, so I wouldn't have bothered. He's a sniper and he's focused on your teammates, so if you don't shoot him now, you see this guy, you don't aggro him, well then you can take a white flag where he probably doesn't notice you, and it's an easy kill because he's distracted and he has a sniper, right? So it's a bit of a shame that you gave away your position here because you had a free approach, but other than that, I really like that you're scouting, taking high ground, playing safe. This is really good. Here, once again, you jumped out, you used high ground for scouting one person. There are more people around, obviously. You haven't really given yourself those 5 seconds to just look around in your area and figure out what's going on, and because of that, the moment you drop down, people happen to be there. So this is risky as fuck. You have a car on your right, and you're not using it. That's a waste. You're overexposed right here. Again, exposed to 2 enemies. You only survived because only one of them decided to shoot you. The other one ignored you until his teammate was dead. I don't know why, but who cares? So this is another case of why your good games are difficult to learn from. Because all these situations you're now getting away with because the enemies are playing this poorly. That's not to say that you're not playing well, but there are a lot of mistakes you're not getting punished for, right? This as well, that guy is self-resing, so he can't move, right? When you're self-resing, you're literally stuck in one spot, so why aren't you shooting him from here? What's the point in standing out in the open road and running over to him? You're not going to get to his box anyway, there's a Bangalore right there shooting you. I mean, she might have the aim of a toddler, but still. It's a bit of a waste to take that damage, you know? Plus there you should have dropped your heal drone. That's just a very small thing, but you were like 40 health. You were gonna use a battery anyway, you had cover. You're not gonna get more value out of a heal drone than there. So it's just kind of a waste to not use it. Again, you're on low ground, it's a bit of a waste. Out in the open. Right, you've cover to your left, use it. You're not using it, you have a PK, you should be corner peeking. You've got PK wingman, can't have stronger peek than that. You can use that downed guy as cover, and now you're back behind the corner, so at least corner peek this. Okay. And again, punishing the res. The back off and the heal there was very good. So that's something good that we've seen so far, is this guy is not afraid to back off and quickly heal, right? And because of that, he does land a lot in these positions where the enemies decide to push or res poorly because he disengaged for a second. And that's very nice. So his patience in that sense and not being too aggressive, even though he's pushing quite fast pace, is very good, but a lack of awareness and a lack of scouting leads to a lot of risk here. The same here, like, there's one team left. I'm gonna go back a little bit to when this rotation starts, right? So you kill the second to last team here. There's one team left. You don't know how many people are in it, and it's potentially up to 3 people. You want the kills because you want a 20 kill game. Now, other than your teammates killing them, there's no longer a risk of losing these kills, or I suppose if they die to zone, because it's the last team. Against the last team, there's no need to rush. It's, you know, it's just one team fight. So here, you should really scout before you're running out in the open. There's no need to take any risks in the last fight. Not in pubs. This as well, like, you're healing out in the open. If somebody's on this rock, you are dead right now. If somebody's on this rock, you're dead right now. If somebody's anywhere up here, you're dead right now. If somebody's on the left side train track, you're dead right now. If somebody's coming from behind because they heard the fight earlier and they're trying to come for this last team fight, then you're also dead right now. Like, the entire map has sidelines on you. Right, you haven't scouted this, so you have no clue if people are in this position, and then by the time you see somebody, you are taking the fight all the way out in the open, so you're again depending on them not being very good and not being able to kill you here. But a good player would have killed you instantly for taking a really bad engage right here. You do take high ground here, which I like, and Bangalore decides to run in the chase, so now it's a free kill. This Bangalore ends up being the last opponent, which is why you win this, but because you haven't scouted, you weren't sure she was the last opponent, and this entire time you did nothing to really guarantee safety other than going for high ground for a second, but once again you instantly gave up the high ground, so it didn't really add much. So this is again like an awareness problem, right? Awareness is the biggest problem in this VOD, where if she had 2 teammates that were about to push up there, because you rushed up ahead without checking, you would have now been dead, and there may have been 3 enemies to get a 20 kill game, but you would have lost instead. Other than that, good plays.